In the last video, I mentioned a good exercise from Eckhart that I have been practicing a lot lately, at least when I'm aware of it. When I'm not aware of it, I'm just in my head and in my emotions. But when I remember this practice, it becomes a very powerful practice and a very powerful realization. And the practice was to ask yourself, how would I experience this situation if I didn't add any thought to it? And every time I remember this practice, it becomes so obvious that it is my thoughts about the situation that is causing me to feel the way I feel. It's not the situation itself. For example, if I'm eating breakfast and I start feeling stressed and overwhelmed, I stop for a moment and I practice this, like how would I experience this moment if I didn't add any thought to it? And I realize that right now I'm just eating breakfast. But when I think about all the things I have to do after breakfast, I have to do this and this and this and then this, then I start feeling stressed and also overwhelmed. And so again, it's not the situation. Right now I'm just eating breakfast, that is what I'm doing, but when I add thought to it, when I add a story to it about all the things I have to do after, then I start feeling stressed and overwhelmed. And it happens all the time. Every time I feel disturbance in the force, whatever I'm doing at work or at home or at the gym or whatever I'm doing, when I feel a disturbance in the force and I stop and I remember this practice, I realize that it is not the situation. The situation is that it is. Right now I'm at work and things going on, but when I add thought to it that this shouldn't be happening, this shouldn't be happening, then I feel stress. But it's just because I add a thought to it that this should not be happening. If I don't add that thought, the situation becomes neutral. So every situation is neutral, but when we add a thought to it, when we add a story to it, it becomes either good or bad. It's like Shakespeare has a good quote: nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. I love that quote, and I looked it up. It's from Hamlet. I haven't read Hamlet, but that's where the quote is coming from. It seems to be, but it's so true. Like nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So every situation is neutral. When we add a thought to it, when we add a story to it, then it becomes good or bad. And that's why it's so important to start observing our mind and practice this, like how would I experience this moment if I didn't add any thought to it. So I love this. Every time I feel a disturbance in my force and remember this practice, it becomes so obvious and clear that it is my thoughts about the situation that is causing this disturbance. So that's why it's so important to observe our mind, because otherwise we will be a slave to our mind. We will just accept every thought we have, and our mind can really run our life and also ruin our life if we stick an eye in there, as Michael Singer sometimes says. Our mind can really run our life or ruin our life if we don't start to observe it. That's the danger with an unobserved mind. That's why we have to be so careful with the unobserved mind and start to observe our mind. And a good practice is this one that Eckhart recommends, like ask yourself, how would I experience this situation if I didn't add any thought to it? Then you start observing your mind. Another good exercise that I really like, that is coming from another spiritual teacher that I also really like. Her name is Byron Katie, and she has a method that is called the work. And when you do the work, you start to questioning your own thoughts, and I think that's a very powerful method. And it's coming from this book, or I'm not sure if it's coming from this book, but this book is about the work. And I can really recommend this book. I haven't read the whole book though, but I don't think like you have to read it all. I just look in it and I just look at the questions. And just the two first questions are very powerful. And for example, the first question is to ask yourself, is it true? So when you have a thought, ask yourself, is it true? So for example, if I doubt myself, if there is something I would like to do, but I think I cannot do it, like it's too hard, I can ask myself, is it true? And then I can maybe still feel that, yes, it's true, it's too hard, like it's too much, I won't make it. But then if I ask myself again the second question, is it really true? Like if I have to answer yes or no and live with that answer for the rest of my life, could I really say that still yes, it's true? And I realized I can't. I can't really say it's true 100% because I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Maybe I can do it. Maybe I can succeed. So that's a very powerful question to really ask yourself, is it really, really, really true? Can you be 100% sure that you can't do it, for example? And then you realize, no, I can't. I cannot be 100% sure. So yeah, that's again, as a good method to again start observing your mind. Because when you don't observe your mind can really run or ruin your life. So my message today is that when you feel a disturbance in the force, when you feel you are getting stressed, worried, anxious, overwhelmed, fearful, stop for a moment and ask yourself, what is causing you to feel the way you feel? Is it the situation, or is it your thoughts about the situation? So yeah, that's my message for today. And if you don't know what I mean by a disturbance in the force, I talk more about that in this video. But yeah, I thank you again for watching. Please click the like button if you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want. And I see you in the next video.